Charles Moore. What are the other areas that Baptist Care are involved in our community?
So Baptist Care is a leading provider of aged care in Australia. So we have 50 residential aged care homes, 32 retirement villages. We look after over 14,000 senior Australians in their own homes.
So $70 million is a lot of money. So what do you think it was about Baptist Care that was able to be successful in getting that grant?
I think there is a number of ingredients that go into this. The fact that we've been in business for over 80 years, so we are trusted. But secondly, I think
We can come back to the wraparound services. Can you just unpack that a little bit? Exactly what are they to care for these tenants?
include things like counselling services, group programs. We have chaplains. Proud to say we employ over 120 chaplains nationally.
How do you select the tenants? Can you give us some background on that one?
So
Today, my guest is Charles Moore, CEO of Baptist Care, a community housing provider who recently were the recipients of $70 million through the National Housing Finance and Investment Corporation to help deliver more social and affordable homes. Charles is here today to help us unpack this story and see how the project is progressing. I'm Ian Bunston. Welcome to Monday Matters. Welcome, Charles, and congratulations on your recent appointment as the CEO of Baptist Care.
thanks, Ian. It's good to be here.
Charles, the focus for today's discussion is about your story about building of homes. And we know that we've got a crisis in this country, and we're really keen to hear your story. Can you tell us the context of how this joint Commonwealth, New South Wales State Government and Baptist Care project evolved to build social and affordable homes in Carlington, Sydney?
Yeah, sure. It's in Carlingford. Ian, just so people, when they Googling where we're talking about, which is
Thank
in the
you.
northwest part of Sydney,
Sydney.
close to Parramatta geographically. You mentioned a housing crisis. We know that there are over 224,000 households across Australia that are on a waiting list for some form of social or affordable housing. In the New South Wales context, that's about 56,000 people, and that waiting list can extend up to 10 years. Really? 10 years here in Australia for a roof over your head. Do we think that's acceptable? It's just, it's insane, isn't it? Baptist Care has seen that gap for a long time. Baptist Care has been in operation now for more than 80 years. It has been involved in some shape, form, or manner for more than 70 years in providing community housing. We currently have about 1,500 tenants spread across 27 locations around Australia, and we're a small community housing provider, really. We have about 1,000 housing dwellings. You specifically asked me just then about Gimbawali Place at Carlingford. It's actually our largest site that we completed in July 2023. But it's a story of how difficult it is to provide this housing. So through the New South Wales government's what was known as the Social and Affordable Housing Fund, it was a good political initiative, but it's come to an end, unfortunately. We get used to that story, don't we? But that funding became available in 2015. I'm just giving you this timeline. 2015, a policy announcement. In 2017, we're successful in securing funding from that policy announcement. 2 years. It then takes us 3 years to negotiate with Parramatta City Council. 3 years for much needed social and affordable housing to get a development approval. Oh, we're now at 2020. We're 5 years after the policy announcement. We get the DA. We go through the usual process of them working with builders, securing a builder. They start in 2021. In 2023, we end up delivering 160 social and affordable housing units on that site. 8 years from policy announcements, 6 years from when we got funding approval from the New South Wales government to deliver homes. You've got to have a certain level of determination, of grit. You've got to have the funding capacity to be able to work through that minefield, to be able to deliver product that is just so needed by the community.
So $70 million is a lot of money. So what do you think it was about Baptist Care that was able to be successful in getting that grant?
I think there is a number of ingredients that go into this. The fact that we have been in business for over 80 years, so we are trusted. But secondly, I think it's our offering that goes far more above than just providing a roof over the head, right? Building the product. Lots of people can do that. But what else can we do for those tenants? It's not actually, nuclear science. This is not groundbreaking information, but it's how we support the tenants through what we call our wraparound services. And we do that through our community service business, how we support those tenants. It's also in Victoria, building larger homes. So not Gimbawali, but how we deliver product that meets for larger family units, building to a really high quality specification. So energy efficiency, energy costs, power, utility costs go up. So how do we set those up for the tenants not to be able to be exposed to those sorts of things? These are all elements that add to us being successful in securing that funding.
So if we can come back to the wraparound services, can you just unpack that a little bit? Exactly what are they to care for these tenants?
Sure, our wraparound services include things like counselling services, group programs, we have chaplains. Proud to say we employ over 120 chaplains nationally. So chaplains support walking alongside our tenants, no interest loans, just the dedicated managers to sites that build community. So build interactive ways of joining tenants together and removing what can be in quite tense or fraught positions ensuring that there is social cohesion is probably a good way of describing that. We also, part of those community services teams, walk alongside our tenants to support them in finding jobs, helping them through applications for education opportunities and the like. So we're really trying to break that cycle and lift the tenants up.
Charles, with these projects, often I hear the question asked, how do you select the tenants? Can you give us some background on that one?
So it depends if we're talking about social or affordable housing. So, in Gimbawali Place, back to Carlingford, where we have those 162 apartments that are targeted at. The other side of our business is aged care. We might talk about that a little later on. So we target our tenant base to be for people in need who are over 55 years of age, because there's some natural synergies and expertise that we can bring to that. We look at single parent families that are at risk of homelessness, or as I mentioned earlier on, before we started recording this, women and their children escaping family and domestic violence. We have a split in our portfolio of 60% of all of our accommodation for social housing. So that's that list with a 10-year wait list, and we work our way through that match, right, in terms of a criteria. 40% of our portfolio, though, is targeted at affordable housing. So again, that's a percentage of a market rent, and we are targeting key workers, and mature key workers again, so slightly older.
So if we can go back to Carlingford in Sydney, I've got that right, have I? Yeah.
Yep.
The often with these projects, I'm aware too that people that are termed placemakers can be placed into these projects to create connections, to create community, to create a sense of well-being. And this is our home, this is our place. What type of measures have taken place in that particular space with regard to your projects?
Yeah, so that's what I was mentioning before. So part of our counselling services actually is having placemakers in place. So that's creating community activation, be that morning teas, gardening groups, um, uh, other forms of social interaction. But these same people also build personal one-on-one relationships with the tenants. So helping them set budgets, as I mentioned before, helping them, if they're looking for a job, helping them write their CVs, suggesting ways of applying for jobs. A mum and her two kids might be looking to go back and do some further education. She may have been a young mother. How do we help them, walk alongside them, and do those sorts of things? So intentionally building that community.
And Charles, the other area that's often perhaps not talked about, but is such an important one, is the maintenance of these properties. What measures are in place to make sure that they're maintained to a really good standard?
Yeah, so this comes back to actually even before you start to pour concrete and lay bricks, it comes back to doing this well. It starts with design. So ensuring that you are designing, in the case of Gimbalali, 3 blocks of units that are going to age well. So what are the design features that you're using there? So making sure that we're not using a lot of prefabricated materials that could age quickly. Making sure that our designs have got good natural light, great airflow, because we know what that can do in terms of mold and good drainage, for instance, is another good one in terms of design. How many new apartment blocks do you drive by down a main road and you see on the balconies that terrible sort of rusty grey because because the water's just seeping in. So proper guttering, spending money, spending a little bit more on the product through that design and development and build phase ensures that the maintenance cost will be lower. But secondly, again, we've talked about the placemaker in place. That placemaker is walking alongside some tenants who may not have, for a variety of reasons, might just need some help in understanding how to maintain and guide them and lift them up in what our expectations and community expectation is of maintaining a place.
Mm. So in other words, the expectations that are on the tenants, is that come out with the placemaker, or the expectations of maintaining the property from the tenant's point of view well and truly made clear before they go in?
Both is the answer.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, because it is a big issue, and often the budget is a big one in terms of maintaining these properties. Charles, before we finish today, and you touched on this just a little bit earlier, what are the other areas that Baptist Care are involved in our community?
So Baptist Care is a leading provider of aged care in Australia. Most people probably associate us with that part of our business. So we have 50 residential aged care homes, 32 retirement villages. We look after over 14,000 senior Australians in their own homes, and that is all focused on delivering really high quality, person-centered care to aging Australians. We're agnostic in this space to where that customer base comes from, because ultimately I think the reality is that as we all age, there is a certain degree of vulnerability, of marginalisation that can occur. So we want to walk alongside all Australians in that space. But we also work across community services and disability support. I mentioned a little earlier Hope Street. We service over 3,000 people on an annual basis through a variety of community services, which can be focused on homelessness, domestic and family violence, a variety of counselling services, affordable food, and dealing with alcohol and drug abuse. In South Australia, we actually have over 11,000 disability service clients. Across the organisation, we work with close to 400 mental health clients. And in another part of our organisation, we provide outdoor experiences that are focused on health and well-being, personal development, group skills to more than 10,000 kids on an annual basis. So we are a very broad and diversified organisation. If you amalgamate all of those numbers, we touch over 35,000 Australians each and every year. And ultimately, what are we doing? We are there to try to help transform those lives through delivering care.
Well, Charles Moore, CEO of Baptist Care, a remarkable story and certainly having a huge impact in our community and society in Australia, as you say, providing wonderful care for these folk. Thank you for being our guest here at Monday Matters today.
Fantastic. Nice to join you. Have a great week.